dear students, welcome you all back to the social class. And till now we have seen about the revision classes, and I hope you all have done your quarterly exams really well. So when we correct those papers, we'll know about you. And now we are getting into the new chapter, that is from geography, natural vegetation. About natural vegetation you might have learned in the lower classes. Yes or no, my dear students? I hope you would have learned. Yes. So these natural vegetations, if you see, India is a country, or this nation has different varieties of species which have been developed, which cannot be even imagined, right? Yes. So if you see, the vegetations of each and every areas differs. The vegetation of a place differs. Vegetation of a particular species differs from one another. If you look around yourself, you can find different types of plants, different types of trees, different types of bushes are available around us. It's all because of few features. Yes, it is based on different aspects. So before getting into what is natural vegetation, I'll give you few data about it. If you look into the data, you will be wondering, like around 47,000 of plant species are there in India alone. So imagine 47 species of plants, and in that India ranks 4th in the world level. And you can find India is the nation which has been ranking at the 4th level in Asia and 10th level in the world. Okay, so that is how the species are available in India. And around, they say 15,000 flowering plants are there. We also have non-flowering plants. Non-flowering plants like fungi, those plants will not be giving any flowers. So we are calling them as the non-flowering plants. And you see, 6% of the total world flowering plants is being denoted from India. And you can you see that around 90,000 animal species are prevailing in India. So India is a nation which has been filled with all kind of species which are available. India is a nation which has been having diverse of flora and fauna. Yes. So if you see, this flora and fauna is in species which are very rich in India, and this has to be safeguarded. This has to be protected by the Indians. We know nowadays these species are getting into endangered, right? So in order to avoid those kind of endangered activities for the flora as well as fauna, we are, as the citizens of India, we are in the situation to protect that. How that can be done, and why do you learn these chapters? So it is because as the future citizens of India, you are supposed to know what is the previous condition of India based on the vegetation as well as the present condition, and which area has to be rectified, which area has to be improved, so that when you become the future generation, you will have a concern towards the natural vegetations, and by intention you may have you may develop an activity to grow plants. So that is the reason we are learning this chapter. And if you see about vegetation, it is an area where you can find plants or trees which are being grown without any human aids. So what does mean by human aids? Without any support of the human beings. They will not provide water to the plant, they will not give fertilizer to the plant, or the plant will not be cleaned in those areas. So those kind of things will not be done by any of the human beings. Without any human intervention, the plant or the tree that grows without human aids, and it has been not disturbed by any of the human activity, that is known as the natural vegetation, naturally grown plant. It is known as the virgin vegetation also, virgin vegetation. Okay, so this virgin vegetation is purely present only in India. India is the nation which has the virgin vegetation which has been highly prevailable, and it is prevailing throughout the nations. Okay, so this vegetation has to be protected, safeguarded by all of us. And that is the reason we are learning this chapter. And if you see flora and fauna, what is this flora and fauna? Flora means the plants that are being grown in India. Okay, so plants, even plants which are grown in all the places are called as flora. And animals, animal vegetation, animal diversity which has been present in India, it is known as the fauna. So for this flora and fauna, there is a need or there is a condition which is being needed for them to grow. Okay, so we are going to see what are the conditions that are needed for the growth of this flora and fauna. Maybe it can be called as the factors which enable them to grow. So if you see in that, we have two very important factors, that is relief. Okay, so the next thing is climate. So under relief, we'll see the two important factors, that is under relief, land and soil. So how land and soil are favoring them? If you see land, if you look at your areas, you can even find the difference that is existing. The plant that is grown in the mountain, the plant that is grown in the plateau, the plant that is grown even in the cooler climate will not grow in the other areas. That is because of the land that favors the growth of that particular plant. Okay, similarly, if you bring an Jammu Kashmir flowering plant, or you bring the apple which is grown in Jammu and Kashmir, and can that be grown over here? Unless and until it is being crossbreeded, we cannot grow it. So each land has its own capacity, each land has its own aspects to make the crop to grow. Okay, so land plays a very important role in that. So even if it is in plain area, plateau, rugged area, terrain area, whatever it is, each has its own potential. Similarly, if you see in desert areas, you can find only the cactus which is being grown, right? Or the date plants which is being grown. But those plants cannot be grown over the other parts of India. Right? Yes or no? So the land favors them for the growth without any intervention of the human being. So that is called as the land factor. Okay, so next thing is soil. So you might be studying in lower classes, or you might have studied in lower classes about the types of soils. We have different types of soil: red soil, black soil, alluvial soil, laterite soil. All these types of soils are there. So why we have segregated these soils? No, each soil has its own fertility, its own potential, its own mineral content in it. So those types of soil may regain its fertility, regain its own capacity of fertilities. So when that is being done by them, that favors the growth of different types of plants. If you take black soil favors the growth of cotton, sugarcane, rice and other aspects. And even it is also known as a self-plower. Why it is known as a self-plower? During the summer season, it develops cracks on it. When you come to 10th standard, you will be learning about it. So it develops a crack. So when the cracks are developed, we feel that the land is dry, it is very hard. It's not like that, my dear students. It has been regaining its own mineral content from the air surface. So that is what is the real aspect behind the black soil. So each soil has its own capacity, potential to grow crops. So even in the natural vegetation, you can find the crops are being grown based on the soil that is available. So different types of soil provides basis for the different types of vegetation. Sandy soil in the desert supports cactus, thorny bushes, while the wet soil in the delta region supports mangrove forest which can be grown over there. So this is what is about the land and the soil. So next we have about the climate. So I will teach you about the climate in the next video. We'll wind up with this, my dear students. Thank you.